Hello, everyone. I wanted to do a video on Hobbes's chapter 13 from Hobbes's Leviathan. I didn't require you to do any study questions on this, but let's pretend that I did. Or I'll tell you in this video perhaps what the study questions would have been and why I would have asked them and what sort of answers I was looking for. So I think the first question I might have asked here was why does Hobbes think that equality is actually a bad thing? That would have been a good question. We normally think of equality as good, but Hobbes thinks it's unfortunate. Remember, he's talking about the state of nature here, where there's no law, no courts, no civil society of any sort, and under those conditions, the fact that human beings are pretty much equal in body and mind is a disaster because things being what they are, we have equal hope, he says. We have equal hope of attaining our ends, getting what we want, meaning that we realize that no one else is particularly smarter or stronger than us. So the problem with equality is that it encourages conflict between individuals. So it is a bad thing under Hobbes. He's certainly not talking about political equality because the state of nature has no politics. He's talking about equality of ability, and this leads to competition and conflict. Yeah, this is the key. From this equality of ability ariseth the quality of hope in the attaining of our ends. And therefore, if any two men desire the same thing, which nevertheless they cannot both enjoy, they become enemies. It's a basic problem in the state of nature. So that would have been my first question, I think. Maybe the second one would have been about this line here. There is no way for any man to secure himself so reasonable as anticipation, which is a startling thing where he basically says, in the state of nature where, why does he say that it's reasonable to secure yourself by anticipation? And what does he mean by that? Well, what he means is that it's okay to strike first. Basically, that it's okay to engage in an unprovoked attack against others because you're just anticipating what they'll do to you and heading them off. So, and crucially, he says at the end of this paragraph, it ought to be allowed to him. And that is, everybody has this right because our only right really in the state of nature is self-preservation. So if it's reasonable to preserve our lives and our health and our things by anticipating others' attacks and attacking them first, it's completely reasonable. Well, that would have been my second one, perhaps. My third one was how does Hobbes characterize this state of nature? What is it? And the answer to that would be a state of war. And this is the natural condition of mankind. That is, before they create civil society, before they create the Leviathan to keep them all in awe, the natural condition of human beings with regard to each other is a state of war. And that war is the worst of all, right? Because he carries right here the war of every man against every man. That is, war of everyone against everyone. I forget what the Latin is. It's very famous, but I wish I couldn't get it correctly. But so, what is the state of nature? It's a state of war, and that war is the war of everyone against everyone else. I might have focused on this line here. The life of man, solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Very, very famous line from Hobbes. This whole section here that it ends, this whole paragraph describing the state of nature, state of war, is building a kind of a nightmare picture of the state of nature. And that's important. Why? Well, I think the last question would be what justifies the Leviathan, the power of the state? And that is that we need it in order to live anything like decent lives. I think it pretty much covers what I would have asked in study questions.